How green is your lawn? More to the point, do you know how to landscape the green way? Here's Alachua County Environmental Protection Senior Environmental Specialist, Stacy Greco, with some environmentally friendly landscaping tips.
We're here with Wendy Wilbur, the Alachua County IFAS Extension Horticulture Agent, and we're here to learn how we can have a beautiful yard and minimize our impacts on our local water resources.
That's right, Stacy. Today we're in the backyard of Jane Berman-Holton's. Jane is a trained expert in the Florida Yards and Neighborhoods program, which is a University of Florida IFAS program that teaches homeowners to take care of their landscapes in a Florida-friendly way. Jane has taken care of this lawn and in this landscape in a way that minimizes her landscape impact into the environment. And what we're talking about here is putting the right plant in the right place, fertilizing conservatively, using minimal pest control, and making sure that you water efficiently. Jane only maintains this landscape here with just rainfall. And so that's really impressive, especially during our drought times. So she's got really tough plants that we can take our harsh Florida environment. Another element of the Florida Yards and Neighborhoods program that's so important is to reduce the amount of fertilizer or to only fertilize appropriately. March is a great time to fertilize the lawns. So when you're selecting your fertilizer, you want to make sure that you're picking one that's appropriate for our landscapes. Now there's fertilizer products like 666 out there. That's 6% nitrogen, 6% phosphorus, 6% potassium. We want to make sure that that first number, nitrogen, has a good element in slow release form, and that's going to say nitrogen insoluble. So we want to make sure there's about 30 to 50% of that in insoluble form, so we get a slow feed to our grass, because if we get a real heavy rain, that fertilizer is going to wash away in our sandy soils.
What about phosphorus? I know phosphorus can really cause algae blooms too.
Yeah, it can, especially near water. So we want to make sure that we are limiting our phosphorus. The soils in Florida are naturally high in phosphorus. We hardly ever need to add phosphorus to our soils unless a soil test result showed us to do that. So it's great to select a fertilizer that has a very low middle number. The first number is nitrogen, second number is phosphorus, and the third number is potassium. So a good fertilizer to use for a common Florida lawn would be like a 15-0-15 or a 10-0-15, 0 being that phosphorus number, so it's real low.
So go as low as you can go.
Right, exactly.
I don't really like to spend my time mowing a lawn. What are some things I can do in my yard to help out?
You know, a lot of people are really busy these days. We're super busy, overscheduled, and the landscape can become a real chore. And it seems like we get on this cycle. We mow, we fertilize, we water so we can mow again,
right.
And it feels like you're on a little hamster wheel with that. And I teach classes on ground covers and turf alternatives, and many people come in there wanting to get rid of their lawn, or at least to limit the lawn. And some great ways to do that are to use drought-tolerant ground covers and to use mulch areas. Mulched areas, especially in shady zones, really can reduce the amount of turf that you have and reduce the amount of work that you're putting into your landscape.
Okay.
I do want to say that mulched beds do need some maintenance. You're going to have to get in there and weed occasionally, but it's not the same as fertilizing, watering, and mowing on a real regular basis.
What about these little flowers here? Are these a problem?
They are if they bother you. We say that a weed is a plant out of place. In this backyard, the homeowner's taken sort of a naturalistic approach to the landscape, and she says if it's green, she just mows it. Although she does have some good grass, she has some areas where there are some weeds. Some folks just like to let them be. Other people want to make sure that their landscape is perfect with no weeds. For those folks, I recommend making sure that you pick the right product to control your weeds. In the element of these violets, you could use a herbicide like atrazine, but what I don't recommend is using a product called Weed and Feed. Weed and Feed has fertilizer in it as well as herbicide in it. And what we want to do is to try to spot treat the weeds just where they are and let the rest of the grass be okay, and fertilize separately. So you spot treat herbicides and fertilize separately with a product that has a good element of nitrogen and slow release.
Jane's lucky to have a water body right next to her yard. Is there anything she should do to protect this water quality?
Yeah, she really needs to be careful about the amount of fertilizer or where she fertilizes in her backyard. Her water body is a beautiful pond here in Kirkwood, and there are a lot of little hidden ponds here and there around Gainesville. And yes, we need to make sure that there's a buffer of native plants around the pond, and to make sure that she doesn't fertilize within about 10 feet of this water body. Actually, Jane stays a little bit further away and stays more about 30 feet away with her fertilizers and her pesticides. You know, Jane is real lucky that she lives close to this water, but we all live in the watershed. Whatever we do in our landscape is going to find its way into the creek or to the storm water and ultimately to the aquifer. So we need to be real careful about what we do up here.
So no matter where we live, we want to minimize our use of fertilizers. We want to purchase fertilizers that have low phosphorus and nitrogen contents.
We want to make sure that our nitrogen is in a slow release form and has a low phosphorus number, right? And then other things that we can do is to choose soft pesticides and to use our water systems very sparingly to water for conservation.
So try to use less water, and then we also want to keep that water on our own landscape so we don't create storm water that brings pollution to our water bodies.
Exactly.
We learned a lot today. What if I want to find out some more information?
Well, I've got a great website associated with my program. It's called floridayards.org. floridayards.org. On there, there's a terrific plant selector that lets you know which plants that you should put into your Florida-friendly landscape and how to maintain your landscape in a Florida-friendly way. And Stacy, I do classes occasionally at the Extension office, usually 2 a month on Florida yards and neighborhoods, where people can come learn from me how to take care of their landscapes without impacting the environment in a negative way.
Well, thanks a lot for coming out here with us and teaching us how we can have beautiful yards, but also beautiful water bodies.
Yes, thanks, Stacy.
Thank you.